So you use a piece of twig that will act as a nice hook, and so now you're going to multiply this by making a latex mold.
Right.
And we've done this before. It's a lot of fun to make the mold, and you mix up a compound of OOMOO.
Yes, funny name.
And OOMOO.
Great product.
And why do you need the two?
One is the mold urethane, the other one acts as a catalyst, and you mix them in equal amounts.
Okay.
And it comes as a kit from the Smooth On company.
Okay, and it's so you're using a light and lively, low-fat. Is that cottage cheese?
That's light cottage cheese.
Okay, light cottage cheese plastic container, which is a perfect mold maker, and make sure that it doesn't have any cracks in it or tears.
Right, or cottage cheese.
Okay, and this will fit in it. And doesn't touch anywhere, and the mold can be
and we can get
created.
it back out.
Right.
First, we'll need to get a little sealant on that because the wood is porous and the bark is porous,
so
and
the whole
it'll
thing
stick to the mold.
Okay, the whole thing gets sprayed.
Just a light coat, and I'll pour this.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right. Now we just submerge it head first.
Now watch that. Just stick it in there. So it completely encases the object.
Right up against it.
And you let that dry for how long?
At least 6 hours. Just overnight is fine, to be sure.
So set that aside somewhere where no one will touch, and it will create the mold. And so this one has already been set and dry.
Now the tricky part.
So you've made a little slit in the bottom?
Yeah. Oh, I slit the bottom. Yeah, because if you can get a little air in there, you can pop it out.
Okay.
Now, the trick here, I can quickly remove that.
Oh, so you put a screw.
Yeah, so you see our branch. Now we have to free our original from the mold.
So cut it in half completely, or just...
No, it's enough to just slit one side, which makes it a lot easier when you're pouring your copies. And I know that curves, so I'm going to try to follow.
Now, do you need to use that kind of
well, it's good to
knife?
have a nice long blade to get into.
But you really want only one cut if possible.
If possible. You'll have a much more reliable mold.
And a tear is...
It's not a big issue if you could just finish that slice.
Okay. So it's sort of like boning a chicken. But you don't want to go down to the bottom because...
That's plenty. I think we can. Ooh. I've made a couple of molds from this, so the bark is beginning.
The wood is a little dry.
The bark is beginning to separate from the stress.
Oh, so that's it?
Yeah. This was the original. This is the one.
Well, we have a little bark left in here, so we should probably take that out.
We should do our best to get that out.
Okay. So there. All right, so now we're ready to pour. Because we have the mold right in here, and it's fun to make these. You'd never know from looking at this that you're going to get a nice twig hook out of it. So now what do you...
I'm using wood putty. This is a rock-hard wood putty, which is made generally to fill nail holes and things, but it's also a great material for casting.
Do we tape this shut?
No, we're just going to slide it back into the container when we're ready. And this mixes in a 3-to-1 ratio.
And it'll harden, and the hooks will be like wood when they're actually released from the mold.
We've gone back from wood
to faux wood.
To wood putty.
To wood again. Wood that looks like faux, that looks like wood. So.
Okay.
So you're just going to pour that in.
I'm just going to pour that in.
Yep. So you should only mix up enough to...
Well, yeah, you don't want to waste your material, but...
But it's going to take how long to dry?
Well, because it's so thick, it may take several hours. You can let it dry for an hour, remove it for the mold, and then let it dry more thoroughly. And if drying is a problem, you can also put them in a low-temperature oven for a couple hours, and they'll dry completely.
Okay. But you really only have to make one mold to get many hooks.
You can just keep going.
You can use this over and over again. Okay.
You want to try to get all the air bubbles out of there.
Right. And now, when we come back, the moment of truth will occur. We're going to unmold our branch and finish our pig rag, so stay tuned. Well, Tom Tamburello's little twig this one is still wet. You can see it shaking in the mold. So this has to sit for at least 3 or 4 hours, then remove it from the cast, from the mold, and Oh, I can't wait to undo this. Can I do this one? This one's
Absolutely.
already hard. And then you leave it overnight to kind of mellow.
Yeah, it'll stay damp
So
inside.
you want to pull while I release? There. And there it is.
Broken bark and all.
Oh, it is beautiful. Every single little indentation, and it does still feel a little bit soft, Tom. So it has to set and become very, very dry, like this one, which is, you can hear that. It sounds like almost like porcelain.
Yeah.
This one does not make that noise, so we'll let that just dry. And then this one's ready to go. It is fantastic.
Well, if you want, you can paint it with some pewter
But
leaf.
show how to put the little
Okay.
screw in it, because this is dowel screw.
Yep, two-sided. That's a dowel screw. I'm going to just clamp that in place for safety's sake.
Right.
And I want to go in at a
Now,
right angle.
what size dowel screw is this?
That is 1.25 inches long and 1/4 inch wide.
1/4 inch. So that'll be
It's a nice,
sturdy.
sturdy one.
So it drills almost like wood.
It does.
Is it a little softer than wood, or the same?
It's more brittle. It's different. It's very hard to sand. Once it's completely dry, it's really difficult to get a clean sanded edge. So it is hard in that way as a surface.
So you went in about how far?
A little bit further than our dowel screw.
Okay.
I'm going to glue it in with a liquid nail to make sure, because unlike wood, it doesn't get a grip in the
I
fiber, so you do need to glue
okay.
it. And I marked my drill with a piece of tape so that I was careful
here's your
not to drill through the
liquid
piece.
nails.
Just put a
So a little drop in there.
little there. I just put it on the screw. It'll go down into the hole with the screw and let that set.
So this is a liquid leaf paint, so like liquid silver leaf or dark, dark silver, and it's so pretty. And I can just paint that on our branch.
The paint is so great. You can see immediately it begins to look like something that was cast
it's
in a metal.
fabulous. Just wonderful. So if you don't want to use wood for your hooks, what else? You could use, if you have an antique shaker peg, you could make a mold and make a whole bunch of them, couldn't you?
If you found a shape that you couldn't...
That couldn't reproduce.
Right.
Making molds and making casts in those molds is a lot of fun and obviously very effective. So why don't you put that hook on the end of this beautiful board. Now, that is an oak board. It's a 1x4?
Yeah, oak 1x4. I painted it with a black stain. Then I sealed it with a semi-gloss just to protect it. And now we've just put in our last peg, and this one will be set.
Well, since my main hallway is all faux bois,
Okay.
I need a whole lot of hooks like this for my coats. Be much prettier than the brass hooks that I have on the wall. They look great.
Yeah.
It's a lovely project, and wait till you see how this looks on the wall. Thank you very much, Tom.
Yeah, it's
It's fun.
a pleasure.